I got the basketball hoodie on.
You got the basketball hoodie.
Crew neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But yeah,
crew neck. Sorry.
it's a
So,
crew
just to
neck.
give a little rundown on how MSU has done up until this point, MSU currently sits 1-1 in Big Ten play and 7-4 overall throughout the whole season. To recap where they've been so far, they lost 1 point. They lost 1 point to Gonzaga on an airship, and it had an impressive win over Kentucky. Just one win at home over Villanova, and then a rocky Phil Knight Invitational with a loss to Alabama, a win over Oregon, and barely skating by with a win over Portland. Since our last pod, we talked about the loss to Notre Dame, the loss to Northwestern. Since our last pod, they have won over Penn State on the road, which is a good plus, and then had a win at home over Brown. Coming up, I'll just say what's coming up and then feel free to jump in. Coming up, they have a game against Oakland on Wednesday, December 21st. And then on December 30th, they have a game against Buffalo at home.
Yeah, pretty easy schedule. I know that and we talked about this in the last episode, right? That the messaging, and I feel like it might have helped Michigan State, but the messaging for this team was just get by Penn State and it's easy sailing until the new year, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, you got they beat Brown, they got Oakland coming up, and now and then they got Buffalo. Just a much more relaxed schedule. It's not even that it's just an easy schedule. It's just much more relaxed, not as in depth as far as that goes. And we talked about that, right? With the crazy chaotic schedule they had, it was a lot to expect them to perform at a high level throughout all of that and the travel and everything. So.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I kind of just will touch on that again. So the Spartans are getting a much-needed break over exams in the holiday season. Of note, Malik Hall is getting plenty of time when there's not a lot of games happening to continue to heal up. So my question for you, Brad, is I saw on Twitter, and I think even mentioned in one of our articles, will this break kill the momentum that MSU has just recently gotten back? Or do you think that this break will kind of just be like a sounding board for them to keep going on with this momentum? Just the break that they need, or will it kill them?
I think that it is definitely what they need the most.
I agree.
Right now. I think that it couldn't have come at a better time. I think that I think that this team is a good team, but I think that there are some caveats to that in the sense of like someone's got to step up, and I think that Malik Hall can't carry this team every night when he gets back, right? And
right.
I guess that's sort of been my thing is I was expecting a lot more from certain players on this team. I'm not really. It's been kind of over. I don't want to place blame on anybody, obviously, but that's I guess where I'm at right now is it's sort of between. Yes, you have a lot of injured pieces, and yes, the schedule has been very difficult. But at the same time, you need to give these players that space to develop, right? And I think that this is crucial time for Izzo.
I agree completely. I don't think that this is going to kill their momentum. I think that this is going to continue to help them build that momentum because I don't think they could continue at the pace that they were going before. So I agree with you.
Exactly.
So let's go into a recap of Penn State really quick, and then we'll move on to a recap of Brown, and then we'll talk about, what comes from there. So Penn State, last time we recorded, I was kind of hard on A.J. Hoggard, saying that he shouldn't be our leading scorer with 12 points, which still stands. But A.J. Hoggard went to Penn State with a chip on his shoulder and left with a career-high 23 points. I think that him starting on the bench prior to the Penn State game was a good move by Izzo, and I think it kind of shook Hogard up a little bit, and he played much better defensively, and I saw some better body language things from him that I hadn't seen in a couple games before. So I was impressed, definitely, by him at Penn State. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that it's actually funny, and I'm only using the experience that I have with Michigan State hockey. But remember in the last episode that I talked to you about Jagger Joshua and how he was actually benched because he was taking too many penalties. Nightingale specifically mentioned that, right? And I told you about this, right? Well, get this. Hogard, since being sat, has put up been just a lot of everything that this MSU team has needed, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And then Jagger Joshua, not a single penalty in the 5 games since he was benched. So
it's so nice when when that works out.
Right.
For coaches and for us too. But yeah, I was super impressed by him. There was one play that I want to note, and then we'll kind of move on, but there was 1 minute left in the first half, and Hogard made just an absolute huge play on defense, which doesn't often happen for him. And he ended up turning it into a 3-point play. And it just seemed like he was a whole different guy from where he was, during those couple losses that we had talked about last time. So just really impressive things that I hope after that little wake-up call from Izzo that he can keep up, because I'm seeing some great stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Penn State?
No, the only reason I just heard about the stats. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't go back and watch those games because I was covering elsewhere during while those games were happening. So that's just why I don't have much else to say. Same thing with Brown. So, but we can go into it. And I heard that Hogard played very, very well. Hauser, the biggest thing was that Hauser got 1,000 points.
Yes, let's move right into Brown. So the Spartans were back at home on a Saturday, which always means that the Breslin is a little more full, just because people can make it to the games. So you're right, Joey Hauser reached his 1,000-point milestone. Got a standing ovation. I was there. I had to put my popcorn down so I could stand up and clap for him. It was Izzo and him had a little moment, and I think he deserved it after how he's played this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean Hauser. Earlier in the season, he was I think playing way better, more maybe over the average of what he usually does, and then he kind of sort of leveled out after a while. But I think that Hauser has 100% been one of Michigan State's biggest pieces in a lot of their success, right? And so. He deserved it. It's at one point. I mean, I remember watching him. He's been good, but at the beginning of the season, dude was just something else. He was a monster, looking for shots to knock down, and then all of a sudden, I think the schedule sort of wore off on him. So
that will be something to watch after they get this break to see if Joey kind of gets some of that back, and if it truly was, the schedule wearing on him.
Exactly.
Hogard gave a nice quote after the game that I think kind of sums up what you and I touched on a little bit with the Penn State game. He said, "Me and Coach being on the same page and trusting one another, it just shows that we're having fun." I just feel like that needed to be something that happened so that they are on the same page, because if that relationship is good and Izzo is trusting Hogard more for the, right reasons, I think that that's a very positive point for us going into Big Ten play.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Something of note from the Brown game that I just want to mention. So they had released something at the beginning of the game about if the Spartans got to 70 points, you could go to IHOP after the game and get free pancakes. I love free food. I like free pancakes. So the team had made it to 68 points, and I may have been screaming we want pancakes at the top of my lungs, and Izzo told them, just dribble it out at the end of the game, which I get it, sportsmanship, but also free pancakes were on the line. The Spartans ended with 68 points and never got to 70, so no one got free pancakes. I'm hoping that that promotion stays around and that the Spartans can do it for me at least once when I'm there. But that was my only disappointment. I know.
Sucks.
I know.
Man.
I saw on Instagram someone had commented to Davis Smith, who was the one that just dribbled the ball out at the end of the game. Like, I get dribbling it out, but not with free pancakes on the line. And Davis responded and was like, "Yeah, my bad, man. I didn't realize." So now they know.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my. Yeah. My bad. Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
I just feel like, they played pretty well. The team played pretty well against Brown. A good showing at home, and I think a good kind of way to ease into this little bit of a break that that they're having right now.
Yeah, 100% for sure.
So my last thing about basketball is just a question we'll kind of talk. So where do the Spartans go from here? After winter break, like I said, and the Oakland and the Buffalo games, they go right into Big Ten play with Nebraska and then Michigan. Do you think this Spartan team can hang with Big Ten play?
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't. I think that the Big Ten's just deep, Mm-hmm. It's tough, right? Because, winning in a road game against Penn State, for as good or bad as Penn State is, mm-hmm. however you want to label them, getting a road win in the Big Ten is critical, right? So I think that's good. That's a good sign that they were able to do that. I think that this is a tough team. I think that it's a team that can be tough, and typically mm-hmm. the tougher teams win. And so I think that Michigan State has that potential in them. I definitely think that they have the potential to sweep Michigan if they wanted to. They play them twice, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think that could happen. But I don't know. I think it's really early to say, but as far as Big Ten play goes, I think it'll just be another normal season. I think that the question isn't whether they make the tournament or not. I think that happens. Yeah. I really think it's just a matter of how high is the seeding, because teams lose all the time, right? Anybody can beat anybody. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I like college basketball more than college basketball and hockey really than some of the aspects of college football is just because the parity is so closer. There's so much more parity is what I'm trying to say. Anybody can hang with anybody, and that's sort of kind of the profound, unique part of it, right?
Yeah. So I'm excited for Big Ten play. I feel like if everyone is executing like we have seen them execute in different games throughout the season, then Big Ten play will be exciting for us to watch at home. And I'm just
hoping that there aren't as many heart attacks this year.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, it's not Michigan State basketball season without, a little bit of stress, but I'm looking forward to Big Ten play. I feel like they can definitely hang with a lot of the other teams, and I'm excited for it.